Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to go back on over, do a little bit of a series on just difficult dungeons in terms of mechanics, and we're going to go through and start looking at how we can actually get through the dungeon and have less deaths and better success. Alright, let's get this started. So here we are. This is the last boss for Castle Ravenloft. On this fight, I'm doing this in the DPS point of view. So this is SW, so Warlock, and I'm going to be doing the sword. I don't know what you want to call it, but effectively the sword mechanic in this fight. I'm going to be the one that is making sure that a couple of things happen in terms of doing the fight with the sword. So one of the first things that you want to do is you'll notice that when I have the sword, I have different buttons on this class. So I have Q, which is it gives everybody else their dailies back. I have E, which directly moves my character in a long distance in the directions that I'm facing. And R, which is a overhead attack that is very damaging. And it also replaces my at-wills. One at-will is a spin attack, and the longer you spin, it does more damage. The other attack is a more basic at-will that does a lot less damage than any of your other attacks in here, but it gives you the most mobility. When you're spinning on your at-will, you are stuck in place, and when you're hitting R, you are stuck in place for a good, I'd say, 2 to 3 seconds. So let's go on in here. Another thing to note is you want to make sure that you're stacking a good debuff artifact and also some kind of mount power that is either single target damage in here or is debuff. So let's go on in here and see how we did. Okay. And here we go. The main thing that you want to do in here, if you are a healer, is that you want to make sure that you are putting down abilities that reduce damage. So right here, this is going to pull everybody in and deal damage, and he's going to push everybody away and steals the sword back. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that we've gone to a corner that is a little bit larger in size compared to the other openings between the pillars. So you'll notice that the pillars right here, these are both very open in size. We go to this next slot that's on over here. It's a very small window, very small size. Then you have another window that's open between the pillars that is larger again, and then it's a small, and then it's a large opening, and then a small opening, and then a large opening, small. One thing you're not going to want to do is ever place the group in one of these small openings. There's always going to be AoEs that happen in this fight. And so if you place yourself in one of those openings, you're going to have a lot of trouble in here. Another thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to all stack together in one of these larger openings between pillars. And that just is because of a few things. The AoEs hit less often here. You don't have to worry about a set of AoEs as in the smaller openings that are going to happen that have the ability to one-shot you. And the other thing that it's going to actually do is it will help you and your group orientate, because different players are going to be dropped on in here at various different points in time, and if they know that they only have to look at the larger openings, it will help them scan the outside edge of the arena and get to you quicker. So let's continue on. So like I said, we've all come together, we're stacked together on the outside on over here. And now we have an AoE. That AoE is going to happen consistently on in here. And so Hallowed Ground, Hallowed Ground is an ability that our healer is putting down that can mitigate damage, and I believe our tank should in here also be using Phalanx. And so between the two of them, one is a 15% reduction in damage, and the other one is a 20% reduction in damage. Again, this boss fight is less about the healing and more about the reduction in damage. You're going to get AoE hits applied to you in here because they intentionally have made it so it's very difficult for you to dodge any of the damage attacks that are here. So they want you to be able to stick together, fortify on up, and then play as a group to be able to get through the content. Now, the AoE damage in here may actually be more than the health bar for a good number of players that are coming into this content. That's why reduction in damage is a very big part of this dungeon. So we've gone on over here. The other thing is that when we have this arrows on a player, and let's go back to this point. So we have arrows like in here, and essentially what you need to do is you need to go to one of these candles on the side. Yep. And just like they said, they get stolen down below. And now we have to kill the 4 copies of ourselves that are essentially down below fighting the person that gets stolen. Those red X's are going to continue to happen, and they are going to start in those small little areas. You'll also notice that we're always going to finish in one of these large areas, and then now the player gets dropped back on in. We come here. Okay, at this point in time, we are about to get an AoE that is going to cover the arena. You cannot get out of here, and you can't move to a spot on the floor that is going to not be hit by this. So you either have to do one of two things. You either have to, like I've told you before in other videos, abuse your damage reduction abilities, your dodge, or your shield. Those are going to have to either be used at this point in time to reduce the damage so you survive, or you're going to have to rely on the healer. Now that Q that I'm at this point in time hitting, that gives everybody their dailies back. That's every 30 seconds. So every time that this mechanic comes up in this fight, that daily reset on the sword person will be up every single time. So that is a key thing that you need to be aware of, that this daily reset is going to happen at all of these different points in time. And so I've reset everybody's dailies here, and now our healer did not use anything to mitigate the damage, and there was an AoE that on him coming and returning back in, but now we get to fight the boss. One of the things, your best damage attack on in here is going to be the R on the sword. The second best damage attack is going to be the right mouse button, actually. And so here's another attack. I've given everybody their dailies. Our healer actually used his hallowed ground that time, so thanks, Band-Aid. And now we've effectively almost gotten him down to, yep, we've gotten him down to his next bar, so we get to go to the next phase, which this repeats. So this is going to be a repeat on from this point forward 3 different times. So we're going to get someone here taken down below. We're going to have the same AoE damage effects that are going to happen on the floor. And you'll notice there are these red spheres. Those red spheres are 6 seconds in length, and they appear where those big AoEs are going to happen. And now we have to kill the 4 images again. Someone else is taken down below. The person who's taken down below is having to go around, and there's a couple different ways to manage the down below aspect, but usually it's run around in a circle and kite out the enemies as they can't get to you. And then we have to kill these as fast as we can so that it brings them back. We just did that. So go on into the middle. I get the sword again. I use E to go all the way on back to the side. I use Q as soon as I get that sword, so I have the daily up for both Phalanx here and Hallowed Ground. So we actually were successful on both of those, getting back on up and used at the right time. And now we hit R. We go to the other side of the boss to give ourselves combat advantage, and we start our spin. And so the sword used to be much more damage on in here, but that has effectively changed over time. Okay, Loki now has the arrows, and we have him coming back, and we took all of the damage before all our mitigation was down, so we'll do better next time. You don't always get everything to hit at the right times. And now we've dropped below the 50% mark tile on the boss, which means we hit the next phase again. So it's at a 75% mark, 50% mark, and I think it's going to be around the 30% mark. I get the arrows, I go to the corner and wait for those arrows to come off, and that reduces the damage to take. Normally, in all of the other content, and I don't know why they have done it this way, those arrows mean to stack on top of each other. In this content, it does not mean that. So Band-Aid did a really good thing there. That little circle is a damage reduction of 10%. So that's something that is very small and tiny for everybody to get into, but it's a very good thing to have in this content. And again, now we have the 4 mobs, images, mirror entities of ourselves that we have to kill and dodge the AoEs as best as you can, and kill these as fast as you can, because you don't want to have your teammate down below down there too long. The mobs stack up and it becomes impossible. Here again, we're going back, we're giving our dailies to our tank and our healer. The tank used it, the healer did not at that point in time. We're at this point in time, I believe he says come right there. If he ever says come or try now, that is him telling you don't attack him, because if we stop the fight and look on the right hand side, we have the sword's light. This right here is a charge that we need to have all the way on up, and at this point in the fight we need to be very cognizant of where this bar is. So this right hand bar, the sun sword's light, we really want that to be 75% filled or higher. If we are below that, we're going to probably put ourselves in a situation where we're very unlikely to survive the last part of this fight. The last part of it will be once we hit the 30% mark tile on the boss, we will get sucked into the middle. If you look at my ability on this tune, on the sword, there is a 1. So it replaced your daily and gave you a 1 in place of your daily. That 1 is a shield to help everybody survive through this next phase. And we have to use it at a very particular point in time. Alright, let's continue on. So, again, we're trying to get this down to under the 30% mark. And we'll see runes on the middle of the floor, like here. We have red runes. What it's going to do, it pulls us on up and into the same spot. And now, if we turn the voice back on, that raised me to the heavens. Right after he says that is the point in time that you want to use this daily that the sword has given you. So this is the moment that we have spent the entire fight getting to. We have a fully charged sword, so we should be able to survive it as long as I hit it at the right point in time. So I should be hitting this now. And so let's go ahead and we'll see. And there, the shield comes on up. Everybody has to get into the middle of it and be together. All is one. If you're outside of that, you'll get one shot. And then, essentially, we are good from this point forward. And at this point, it's just the same mechanics that you've done the first 3 phases on repeat until you kill the boss. So again, give everybody their dailies back, and I'm going to let him do his diatribe right now, and we're going to wait on over here. All of the AoEs are going to happen in the middle. If you're a high enough DPS group, you can also kill him right away. It just depends on how you want to do it and what your group is capable of doing. And again, we give ourselves combat advantage. We hit R, we spin, and we just try to do as much damage as possible. And at this point in time, we finish the fight, and the dungeon's over. Alright, hopefully this helps anybody who is unaware of the mechanics of the fight, and hopefully this just helps. Have a good one, and take care.